Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the Witcher history video. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for all the comments, all the feedback, all the views, and of course all the subscriptions. But a short disclaimer here. As you have probably noticed, the majority of the videos in my channel is in Polish. And if you don't know the language, the amount of content might not be enough for you. Unless, of course, you enjoy listening to our rustling, hushing, hissing, swishing, and vowel-less language. As I've said, I'm very grateful for the subscriptions, but at the same time I won't feel bad or angry if you unsubscribe because of the lack of English content. Having said that, I actually plan to do some more videos in English. There will be some more Witcher stuff, of course. There will be some board games because I'm a huge board game geek. I also plan to do a video about Bloodborne names and some other subjects if I have time enough, of course. Okay, that's all for this short introduction, and let's get back to business. If you haven't previously seen my first video on The Witcher, you can find it somewhere here. And here you can find my epic unboxing of all the Witcher collector's editions, including Witcher 1, 2 and 3. Okay, now let's travel 12 years back in time to the year 2003 when we moved to Warsaw. It was June 2003. There were 4 of us at the very beginning. Adam Badowski, now the studio head, Michał Buczkowski, Adam Kozłowski and me. We didn't have any engine. We didn't have any programmers. We didn't have any technology. We had nothing except for the story, some concept arts and feeling that we are going to make it. We were supposed to deliver the game in 2004, later pushed 2005, and retain the AAA quality, which was quite a daunting task to say the least. My first task was to gather a team of professionals and find the engine. As for the latter, at the beginning we thought about different options. We looked at CryEngine, we looked at LithTech, we looked at Unreal, but all the engines had one problem: they were too expensive for us. So, as we were on a very good terms with BioWare, and I had used Aurora toolset before, as I had translated Neverwinter Nights into Polish and some modules, and I also did some modules for myself as I was an avid RPG player, I thought about prototyping the game in Aurora. Just to see the flow of the story. And later on we thought, heck, why not use the Aurora engine for the game? Just throw out the renderer, add our own graphic engine and our own RPG system, and it should work. Well, it was not so easy, but we managed to get the Aurora engine from the good doctors at BioWare, and all the team at BioWare was extremely friendly and helpful. That's one thing I'd like to point out. And I think they were curious about what we were going to do with the engine, what we were capable of doing. And in July 2003, we started our first experiments with the Aurora toolset and Aurora engine, thanks to our new programmer, Michał Iwanicki, an absolute genius, I have to say, an extraordinary, fantastic person. Well, actually, all the people that I had privilege of working with during my time at CD Projekt were just extraordinary. I'm very grateful that I met them. So in July 2003, Michał started to write some plugins for 3D Max that enabled our graphic artists to create the levels in 3D Max and then port it into the engine. Then he created so-called texture paint, a tool that enabled our artists to paint the textures on a level instead of manually mapping them, which took a lot of time. In November 2003, we were 15 people strong, and what you will see in a minute is the result of the 7 months of work of this group. Of course, we created more content than you see here, but this is the playable portion of it. So, in May 2004, after 7 months of work and some crunch time during which we adopted this beautiful stray dog, BioWare were generous enough to provide us with the space in the booth, and we showed the demo behind the closed doors, well, actually behind a curtain. And here are some pictures from the time with a slightly bigger version of me. And the vast majority of media really liked our demo, and nobody believed that we were able to create this in such a short time frame. And at the time, we told the press that the game should be ready in 2005. And how it ended is a totally different story. All right, now let's see the demo. So here you can see the title screen, and it's also worth mentioning that a lot of content presented in this demo was later used in the full game. The same goes for the character models, animations, and the beautiful music by Adam Skorupa. And let me digress for a second. The Witcher presented here on this concept art was designed by famous Polish comic book artist Przemek Truściński. Here you can see some of his early concept art for The Witcher. And here is his concept for Geralt. And the first page of the graphic novel that unfortunately was never to be. Okay, back to the demo. Thanks to the tools written by our fantastic programmers, we are not bound by tiles and blocks anymore, enabling our equally fantastic artists to produce much more lifelike environments that you can see right now. So here we are at the pier by the old castle outside of Vizima with our custom Witcher. Dandelion is standing in front of us, and apologies for the low resolution, it's fixed at 800 by 600, and if I click any option here, the game will crash, so I'd rather not do it. And just as a reminder, at the time the game was supposed to feature a player-created Witcher as a main protagonist, with Geralt appearing only as an NPC. And here you can find some info about the 2 quests that we were supposed to complete in this demo. Okay, let's talk with Dandelion. Dandelion, who will not have changed much in the future incarnations, tells a Witcher about his tasks and reminds him what he has to do. So the first task is to find the source of power, and the second task is to investigate some strange noises in the castle. The quests are very, very simple, as you will see, and you can also hear the first audio recorded for the game. There were a few speaking characters, and we even developed a simple lip-syncing code. Of course, the voiceover here is just a placeholder. Well, I recorded voices for some of the characters, so be careful because your ears might bleed. And as you have probably noticed, the dialogue system looks similar to the Knights of the Old Republic, and it is not the only nod to that awesome game, but more about it later. So now Dandelion has provided us with some details about the quests. Let's go! Let's just have a look at the old castle before us and the panorama around The Witcher. I think that the water shaders still look very nice, even after 11 years. And here, after opening this backpack, you can see a very simple and rudimentary interface window. Here you can see the character data like level, experience, attributes, and here you have the skills that would be a basis for the combat system. The combat system was quite different to the one present in the final game. It was designed by me and Jacek Brzeziński, our lead programmer, future project lead and all-round great guy. And the system looked like this. Before combat, you chose your attacks and put them in a sequence on a style bar, and I will show it to you in a sec. And then during the combat you could trigger them by clicking in the right moment. All attacks would have the rating telling you in what place in the sequence they could be set. Basic attacks could be placed anywhere, advanced slightly further, as you'd need to prepare for such an attack, and the master attacks would be very, very powerful finishers placed at the end or near the end of the sequence. There are no master attacks here because this is a young and inexperienced Witcher. And as you can also see, the signs were at that time called gestures. And here is the style bar with the attacks that you will be able to trigger during combat. one of the requirements that we had been given was to create a game that could be controlled by mouse only, so we had to devise some mechanic that would make combat fun, spectacular and visually appealing. We didn't want simple and mindless clicking, and the base was taken from an old RPG called Summoner, where you could chain your attacks by clicking in the right moment. The longer the chain, the stronger the attack. We somehow expanded the idea and created a system in which you would learn new moves and new attacks along the adventure. And here's the example of a combat with some drowners here. A short cutscene, and they attack. And as you can see in the top right corner, there's some cues telling you when to click. Okay, the drowners are dead. And they conveniently disappear in the ground. Well, we have to check what's inside this chest over here. Maybe some treasure. No, it's just some rope. Okay, let's go up to the castle and complete our quests. But first, a few words about the story of the game. The story was written by Jacek Komuda and Maciej Jurewicz, Polish historical fantasy writers and authors of Wild Fields, pen and paper RPG. But the story for this demo was created by ourselves. The idea was to show as many aspects of the game as possible and present the quests from start to finish. So now a short recap of the quests. We were supposed to find 3 parts of Ouroboros and combine them to block the source of power. And the second quest was to find out what was going on in the old castle, and we are going to do this right now. As you can see, there is some miserable soul getting killed by ghoul. A wonderful cutscene and some combat here. And a few words about animations. First we tried doing them by hand, but it took so much time that we decided to go for mocap. The problem was that there was no full-fledged mocap studio in Poland at the time, at least that we knew of. But we found a very small studio where we could do some very basic sessions with our actors wearing special harness, or rather exoskeleton. As I was training historical fencing at the time, all the moves for this demo were captured with the help of Marcin Iwiński, my fencing instructor and a real sword master. So another ghoul bites the dust. Let's check what's behind the door. And surprise! This was a nice effect that we wanted to show, that the engine would support also a simple physics system. Of course, all the calculations were done beforehand, so it's not real time, but nevertheless it looked quite nice at the time, of course. By the way, all the textures that you can see had been applied using this texture paint tool or texture paint method that I have previously mentioned. So let's now go down there and meet some very strange zombies. And now you should probably cover your ears, because it is me who speaks with this zombie's voice. We have to talk with the master, who is a necromancer called Franz Kniproder, also unfortunately voiced by me. But I will spare you listening to my questionable talents, and I will just summarize the story briefly. The necromancer is the source of the commotion in the old castle. It turns out that his wife died, and he tries to find a method of reviving her. He found in old books that there is such a method, and he needs one component, which is a special skull of King Foltest's grandfather. So he hired a group of thugs and sent them to the dungeon to procure the skull, but they haven't returned, and they took his map. So he asks us if we could help him in their stead. It depends on us what we'll do. We could just kill him and kill the zombies, but I've decided to help him, well, because he's voiced by me, of course. and in return he will give us one of the parts of the Ouroboros symbol, which shows that the quests can intertwine. Okay, let's go down and see what happened with the part of the wall. You will see that there is no action without reaction in the Witcher world. There is a pile of rubble here. And I think this way we blocked one of the entrances into the dungeon itself. So now a quick look at the vistas outside the old castle. Here you can see a swamp. We planned to add a short quest there, but we didn't really have time. There is a shaft going down to the dungeon. And I think I planned on possibility of using rope to get down there, but apparently it didn't work. Okay, let's cut this long story short and get to the dungeon entrance. And here we meet not a very bright guardian, a thug with a club. After a short and very civil exchange of opinions, he tells us that he knows nothing about the source of power, and but he knows something about the Necrodancer. Wait a minute, a Necrodancer?
Of the crypt of the Necromancer.
Apologies for the shameless plug, but I simply love the game and I hope that the team behind the crypt of the Necrodancer doesn't mind. Okay, we can convince this gentleman here to stand aside and to let us through, but we can also fight with him, and as you will see, the combat of an ordinary man against the Witcher is very short and painful. So here we are inside, and if you played Witcher 1 you should recognize this area. It was used in the full game. And here is another character voiced by me, so I will spare you the ear bleeding. All in all, he tells us that they were hired by the Necromancer. One of them died in a fight against some monster, and this gentleman that had died had also the map of the dungeon. And after this we can let them go, and of course we can also fight with them. And look here, a hidden passage. Let's go inside and see what's there. So here in the conveniently placed chest you can find the first part of the Ouroboros symbol. You can choose one of the two doors here, and as you can see the blending doesn't work properly, of course, in this demo. The junk that you can see on the left here are traps. They are broken, they don't work, but the ones in the other corridor do work. We planned to introduce different kinds of traps that you'd had to avoid. And here is the giant enemy crab. 2 years before Sony's conference at E3 2006. Okay, even though I didn't fight too well, it's dead. Now it's time to approach the body, and there is a map. And it points to the shortcut at the well. And I think I have missed this. Right, let's move slightly faster and find out what's at the end of this quite a long tunnel. Well, there is light coming from the shaft that we have seen before, and inside the chest there was another Ouroboros symbol. We need only one more, and we will be given it after finding the skull of King Foltest's grandfather. And now I will show you a different part of the dungeon. Here are some ghouls as well, and after a short and bloody combat they will be dead in a second. Yes, and here is a strange looking skull. So the quest's updated, we can go back to the Necromancer. But I would like to show you one more thing. A Easter egg that we had built into the demo. In a side corridor there was a chest, of course, and in the chest there was something like this. A tribute to BioWare, Knights of the Old Republic. I hope they have an Xbox in the new Narakot Inn, because I'd love to play it. Well, that should be all for this short presentation. Hopefully I haven't bored you to death. Also, please let me know if you'd like to see something more from this demo. Well, I hope you like this short presentation of the first Witcher demo built using the Aurora engine. Please let me know in the comments if you'd like to see the full walkthrough of this demo. Maybe next week I will find some time to show it to you in its full form, from start to finish. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.